Hello everybody and welcome to Books with Ike. My name is Isaac, and today I'm going to be doing the second part of my most anticipated book releases of 2021 video. And this will cover the next 4 months of the year, which is May to August. Except I don't have any book releases I'm looking forward to in August, so this is just May to July. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So I've got my computer in front of me, so apologies if I stop looking at the camera at any point. And sorry if you can hear the fan going, it's very loud. So, starting out with May, on May the 4th we have When You Get the Chance by Tom Ryan and Robin Stevenson, and this is about two cousins who have nothing in common other than the fact that they're both queer, and they go to Pride together along with one of them's little sibling, little sister. And that's all I really know about it. And that's all I really need to know about it. And then also on May the 4th is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And Andy Weir wrote The Martian and Artemis and probably something else, maybe not. But this is actually the first book that he's written that I've cared to read. And this is about a man called Ryland who wakes up on a spaceship with no memories, and the only thing that's there with him are the corpses of his crewmates. And he has to save the world from an extinction-level threat. This sounds really good, and I can't wait to read it, and that also comes out on May the 4th, in case I didn't say. And then another one on May the 4th is Meet Cute Diary by Emery Lee. And if you've heard of Emery Lee, it will probably be because of the controversy about publishing being ableist. I don't know if this book is still getting published, but I assume it is. But this is a YA contemporary about a trans boy called Noah who runs a blog called Meet Cute Diary where he posts stories of trans romances, which are all happily ever after, but all of the stories are fake, and someone exposes the blog as fake, and so he has to prove to everyone that they're not. And he starts fake dating a guy, but obviously it's a romance story, and so obviously it doesn't stay fake dating. But yeah, this sounds really cute and fun and fluffy, and yeah, I can't wait to read it. And then the last one on May the 4th is Firebreak by Nicole Cornastace. I hope I pronounced that right. And this is an adult cyberpunk dystopian set in America controlled by this company called Stellaxis. And there are these celebrity super soldiers which are said to be grown by Stellaxis, and, they created them. But the main character, Mallory, Mallory, finds out that these super soldiers weren't actually grown by Stellaxis. These are kidnapped children who have been augmented and tortured, and basically she wants to tear the company down and expose them for their lies. It sounds great. It's also queer. Not sure how, presumably it's FF romance, maybe? But yeah, it sounds great. And then on May the 11th is Son of the Storm by, and I hope I don't mispronounce this name, but it's Suyi Davis Okongboa. And this is a West African-inspired fantasy set in this city, and it follows this scholar who wants to know what's outside the walls of this city. But he meets this warrior who has magic that shouldn't exist, and so he sets out on a journey beyond the city, and what he discovers threatens to destroy the Empire. What empire? There is no mention of an empire in this fucking synopsis. I don't know, I really don't think this is the same synopsis that was here when I first added this to the list, but it sounded really interesting from the original one, so I'm gonna just leave it in the video. I think I mostly probably added it because of the cover, which is great, and the main character is this disillusioned scholar, so that sounds cool. And then, on May the 18th, is possibly my most anticipated book of this year? Maybe? It's got some stiff competition, but this is Mr. Impossible by Maggie Stiefvater, which is the second book in the Dreamer trilogy, which is a sequel to the Raven Cycle, so I'm not going to give a synopsis. But yeah, I cannot wait for this book. The first book was incredible, and I just need this as soon as possible. Also coming out on May the 18th is In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland, and I'm just going to read the tagline for this, which is, A pansexual blood mage reluctantly teams up with an undead spirit to start a rebellion among the living and the dead. Do I need to say any more? And then, also coming out on May the 18th, is Yes Daddy by Jonathan Parks Ramage. And this is a gay thriller. And this is about a playwright who moves to New York and starts up an affair with this older, more well-regarded playwright. And he is taken to his estate where all of the, elite artists hang out. And a lot of the staff there show clear signs of abuse. And so yeah, this sounds really dark and twisted and like a real reflection of certain aspects of the art and entertainment industry, so I can't wait to read it. And then the final one coming out on May the 18th is May the Best Man Win by Z.R. Elor. And this is a enemies to lovers second chance romance between a trans boy and his ex-boyfriend. And the trans boy was dating the other guy before he came out, and then they broke up. And the trans boy wants to be crowned as homecoming king, and his ex-boyfriend is also going for the crown. And so, yeah. It sounds very fun and cute, and yeah, I can't wait. Oh, and it's a YA contemporary, obviously. And then coming out on May the 25th is The Kingdoms by Natasha Pulley, which is the same author as The Watchmaker of Filigree Street. And this is an alternate history, but also probably time travel story, set in an England ruled by France, and it's about this guy called Joe, who has amnesia, arrives in England with no memories, and the only clue to his identity is a postcard signed by someone called M, and he thinks that M must know who he is, so he goes out to find them. And so yeah, this sounds really weird and twisty, and I can't wait to read it, and it's also probably gay, so yeah. And then moving into June, on June the 1st, we have The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schreffer. And this is another one of my most anticipated books of the year. I mean, all of these are, but this is like at the top. So this is a YA sci-fi romance about these two guys who wake up in a spaceship with no memory of the ship being launched. And the two guys are enemies, and it's an enemies to lovers romance. And so in order to survive the ship's secrets, they will need to learn to trust each other, especially when they discover what they're truly up against, which is very mysterious. It has an incredible cover, and yes, I want it now. Please. And then also coming out on June the 1st, we have The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nhi Vo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And this is a Jazz Age fantasy set in New York, obviously. And this is about this queer Asian girl called Jordan, who is adopted by a white family, and she is treated as like an exotic curiosity by everyone, and she has no way of moving up in the world. But the world is full of wonders, infernal pacts and dazzling illusions, lost ghosts and elemental mysteries. In all paper is fire, and Jordan can burn the cut paper heart out of a man. She just has to learn how. Don't know what that means, but I'm into it. And then also on June the 1st is Ace of Spades by, and I hope I pronounce this right, Farida Abike Iyamide. And this is a YA dark academia set in this private school, and someone online is targeting the only two black students at the school and revealing their secrets. And so they have to work together to work out who this guy is and stop him. So yeah, this sounds like a relevant story about like academic racism and stuff like that. So yeah, it looks really interesting, and it again has an incredible cover. 2021, great year for book covers. And then also on June the 1st is Jay's Gay Agenda by Jason June. And this is about the only out gay kid in a small rural town. He starts compiling a romance to-do list, which he calls his gay agenda, of stuff he wants to do one day. But then his family moves to Seattle, and there is a thriving queer community there, and so he actually has the chance to cross stuff off his list. It sounds very cute and fun and fluffy, and yeah, I can't wait to read it. And again, awesome cover. And then I believe this is the last one on June the 1st, yeah. And this is The Witch King by H.E. Edgman. And so this is about a guy called Wyatt, who is a transgender witch. And before he was out, he was engaged to marry the Prince of the Fae. And so the Fae were the rulers and the witches were like second-class citizens. And so their marriage was supposed to fix things, or be a first step in fixing things. But then he lost control of his magic and ran away to the human world. And then sometime later the Fae Prince tracks him down and still wants to marry him. So, yeah. It sounds like a great, fun fantasy, but it also sounds quite poignant and possibly tragic, and I'm into that. And then on June the 22nd, we have Darling by Kay Ancrum. I've never read anything by Kay Ancrum before, but I need to read all of her stuff, especially The Wicker King. But this is another Peter Pan retelling, just like Lost in the Neverwoods, but this is a modern contemporary version of Peter Pan, and it's obviously queer because everything Kay Ancrum writes is queer. And so it's about this girl called Wendy who gets involved with, I guess it's a gang. And so the Lost Boys are a gang and Peter is the leader. And it looks like this might take place over the course of one night, which is very interesting. But yeah, this sounds great. And then on June the 29th, we have Gearbreakers by Zoe Hanamakuta. And this is a YA sci-fi with an FF romance, which is set in this, I guess it's a country, called Godolia, which is a tyrannical empire which enforces its rule with giant mechs called wind-ups. And then the main character is a gearbreaker, who is someone who is trained to take down the wind-ups from the inside. But her mission goes wrong and she gets imprisoned. And then she meets a wind-up pilot, and at first their enemies, but it turns out that this pilot called Sona is a double agent who is deliberately infiltrated Godolia to destroy it from the inside. And so they team up and start to develop a romance. And so, yeah, this sounds really cool and fun. Possibly quite dark, it depends on how far they go with the dystopian elements. I'm into this Asian-inspired cyberpunk FF romance with horrible giant mechs. It sounds good. And then the first book coming out in July that I'm looking forward to, sort of, is Any Way the Wind Blows by Rainbow Rowell, which is the third book in the Simon Snow series, which started with Carry On, which is a magic school setting, but it's like a deconstruction of Chosen One tropes. It was great. The second book was horrible. I hated it. And so I'm a bit apprehensive about this last one. I don't know whether it will be more in the lines of Carry On or Wayward Son. I am going to buy it immediately, but if I don't like it, I'm happy to consider Carry On a standalone and just get rid of the other two. I hope it's better than Wayward Son. And then on July the 13th is A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. And I've never read any Becky Chambers. A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet is very high on my TBR. But this is set in a world where centuries ago the robots of Earth gained self-awareness and wandered off into the wilderness to leave humanity to themselves. And then one day this T-Monk is just minding his own business, and then a robot comes up to him. And the robot cannot go back to the rest of the robots until he answers the question, what do people need? And so they set off to find the answer. So yeah, it sounds very cute and fun. I know the main character is non-binary, so that's something. It just sounds adorable. I really want to read it. And then finally, coming out on July the 20th, is She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. And I'm just going to read the tagline for this. Mulan meets the Song of Achilles in Shelley Parker Chan's She Who Became the Sun, a bold, queer, and lyrical reimagining of the rise of the founding emperor of the Ming Dynasty. Basically, it's about these siblings, a boy who is destined for greatness, and a girl who is destined for nothing, and then the boy dies, and so the girl decides to disguise herself as him and take his great destiny for herself. And so, yeah, that just sounds incredible. So yeah, those were all of my most anticipated books of May to August in 2021, but technically just May to July because I have none in August. Hopefully I've added some new books to your TBR. If any of these are some of your most anticipated books, be sure to tell me in the comments. And also tell me about any books that I may have missed, particularly any in August, because I have none for that month. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. You can follow me on Twitter or add me as a friend on Goodreads if you feel like it. Links to both of those in the description. And I will hopefully have another video up soon. But until then, thank you for watching. I have been Isaac and this has been Books with Ike. Goodbye.